we're going to be talking about how to transform data in SPSS. So there's a couple of different procedures we'll be talking about, including the select cases procedure, splitting a file, as well as computing new variables and recoding variables. So why do you need to learn how to select cases in SPSS? Well, it's common to run analysis on just a selected subgroup of cases in a data file. You'll rarely, if ever, want to remove or delete data from your data file. There are a number of occasions when you need to filter that data before analyzing it. For example, to take into account missing data or outliers in your data set that could be negatively affecting your results. If you're only interested in studying the characteristic of individuals over 26 years of age, then you'll need to kind of X out for the time being any cases in the data set who are 26 or younger. To do this manually in a data set of 5,000 cases would take a super long time, and you would lose the data from those individuals that you're not interested in this particular analysis on. But in SPSS, we can select individuals for one analysis and then change who is selected for another analysis super quickly. So how do we actually perform this procedure in SPSS? You're going to want to go to your menu bar and then find the Data tab and come down to Select Cases. In the picture here, it's the fourth option in on the main menu, and then Select Cases is the second option from the bottom of that data drop-down menu. So here you see the Select Cases dialog boxes. On the left is the main dialog box. So this has a list of the variables in the data set on the left-hand side, and then the right has different options for how you can select cases. The default option here is all cases. This would be what you would use to remove a filter you've defined after you're done with that. The second option is if a condition is satisfied. So that's something we're going to be using in this class. The next option is a random sample of cases. This is actually how I get a lot of your data sets to use in this class. I take the main file that has thousands and thousands of cases, and I take a random sample of maybe 100 or 200 cases for you to use for homeworks and in-class assignments and things like that, or practice assignments. There's also an option based on time or case range. So if you input data for different time periods, so say you're collecting data for one program and it's all the same surveys, but your program has been administered multiple times, and you just want to select a few of those times to be analyzed, you can do that with that option. And the last option is using a filter variable, which we also aren't going to use in this class, but can be used. And then below that is some options for output. So what we're going to use is filter out unselected cases. There's also an option to copy selected cases to a new data set, which is again what I use with the random sample of cases for your data sets in the class. Or you can delete unselected cases. I don't ever recommend doing this, so that is an option, but I don't recommend it. So let's talk about the if condition is satisfied, since that's the one we'll be using in this class. If you click that option, there's a little circle next to it to click. The if box underneath it, or button, will light up in a darker blue color. So if you click on that if button, you'll get a new screen dialog box that pops up, which is the one on the left that is called the Select Cases If dialog box. So here you can specify the condition using a logical expression, which we'll talk more about in a minute or two. and where that orange box I have highlighted is where you enter in that who you want to be included in the analysis. So for this example in the data set, we're selecting those who responded to the question M age with a response of greater than 26. So it will select all of the individuals in the file who are older than 26. After you've put that logical expression in, you want to hit continue at the very bottom right, and it'll take you back to the first dialog box. So this is very similar to what the first dialog box looked like at the beginning, but now you can see under if condition is satisfied, the blue if button is a darker blue color, and now it says M age is greater than 26. Now you want to hit OK, and then what will happen is it will filter out those other variables or those other cases in the file where M age is less than or equal to 26. So logical expressions are they're kind of an explanation where the computer system uses to determine who stays in the file and who would be hidden for your analysis that you're running. So a case for which the expression is true would be selected, whereas a case where the expression is false is rejected. Underneath in the table with a yellow title is the symbols, alternatives, and explanations. So for example, the equals symbol, you can also type in EQ, would be if that variable is equal to whatever value you put after it. So these are those middle part of these statements where you would have a variable on one side, you would use one of these symbols or the alternative letters, whichever is more comfortable for you, and then what the value you want to be equal to or not equal to, less than or equal, all of those things are here. Or if you want to combine two different things. So I have some examples on the right side in the table. So if gender equals 2 would be anyone who reported their gender as 2, which maybe could stand for females, would be analyzed. Then the next example is age greater than 20. So those who were be selected would be those cases that have an age larger than 20. So anyone who's older than 20, but not including 20. The third example is age greater than 20 and gender equal to 2. So the only cases in this option that would be selected, that would be continued in all of the analysis, would be those whose age was greater than 20, as well as they had a gender of 2. So if one of those was not the same, so say someone had an age of 21, but their gender that they reported was a 1, they would not be included in the analysis. And same goes if someone was 19 and their gender was 2, they would not be included in this third example's analysis. The fourth example here is a string variable. So we're not actually going to use this in this class, but I just wanted to show you that if you do have string variables, you can still use this select cases function. So in this example, it's country equals, and then in quotations, CH. So this would be selecting any of the responses in the string variable where the case reported a value of CH. You have to use quotes when you have a string variable in this, or it will not, SPSS will not return anything. This is a picture of the output and data view after the select cases procedure. So in the background, there's a screenshot of the cases, and number 1, number 2, number 6, and so on are crossed out. So those are people who didn't meet our criteria in the select cases. So this is going back to that example of M age of being greater than 26. So all of these individuals that are X with a cross through their number or a slash will not be included in procedures that we run from here on out, unless we go back and turn off the select cases function. Then on the right side where there's the orange box is the output language that comes out after you run this select cases procedure. So here it's just telling you what they did, and now that it's using a filter variable in order to filter out those cases we don't want to see in our upcoming analyses. Here we have an example of what the select cases descriptives look like. So on the very bottom towards the right, I have the descriptives for the total sample. In this case, it's descriptives of the age of the mothers as well as the weight of the infant at birth. In the total sample, there's 175 individuals. The minimum age is 15, the maximum is 42. And then the mean weight of infant at birth is 3,205.008 grams. And the standard deviation is 634.3 grams. So when we use the select cases procedure, and then we selected only those mothers older than 26, we would run the descriptives on those same two variables, and the top is where you have the descriptive statistics for that option with the mothers only older than 26. So there's a total of 71 individuals now instead of 175 included in the analysis. There's a minimum age of 27, which is good because we wanted anyone older than 26. But the maximum is still the maximum as it was in the total sample of 42. Then the weight of birth of the infant at birth, the mean value now is 3,390 grams as opposed to 3,205 in the total sample. And the standard deviation is 643 grams instead of 634. Also, the age of the mothers in the selected cases procedure is 32, whereas the mean in the total sample was 25. So just seeing the differences there of what selecting certain individuals shows. So you will have to do this in your homework. Now remember, after you've run the analysis you're looking for on the selected cases, you need to manually go back into the select cases function from data and that menu options and then down to the select cases. And you want to then click all cases, that top option on the right side, and then OK. In your output, you'll then see that it says filter off, use all, execute. Now, after it says that in your output, all the cases in your data file will be analyzed again. So that's just a reminder, if you run an analysis with the select cases on, but then you need the total sample again, you're going to need to turn off the select cases before you run that second analysis on the total sample.